associated with holding a leadership position, seeing that you're the chief of staff of Innovate Lab and have been for some time?
Right. Thank God I'm just the chief of staff. I'm not the CEO. But I think that first off, there's no position, there's no role or responsibility that doesn't come with its own challenges.
Right.
Even living and breathing in Nigeria comes with challenges. Yes or yes?
Right.
Good. So you see, as an individual, you have things that are challenging to you. So then, when you now add it to, being just by living and then leading as it is or as the case may be. So how have I been? The question is directed to me, right?
Yes.
You know, to navigate or get over it. I cannot answer that question without saying it is God. To be candid, because personally, I'm one who I consider myself as someone who is emotional, Any small thing, she's already teary-eyed and, all of that. But I've had to, grow thick skins. I've had to learn. There are moments where I've made mistakes. There are moments where you're leading an organization. You have to grow thick skins. But, like I said, you need God to navigate life, basically. Because you can't do life without God. So for me, the first thing is God, in navigating this. There are days where I'm like, God, I don't know. And there are days of, I'm not even sure of what I'm doing. I'm tired. I don't think I can go on again. And then I will speak with my friends. So that is where I get to say that I have people who believe in you. The kind of ways that my friends believe in me is so humbling, to be candid. I look at myself like, wait, are you guys talking about someone else? So I have a good support system. And then on the back of that, I would say that I don't know how you want to do it. I don't know. But having a good boss also plays a significant role in this thing, because I don't think I would have been able to do some of the things I do now as chief of staff without JD's support. He's indeed a good man and a good leader. Right. Thank you. That's the response.
A round of applause for.
Thank you very much. So
CEO.
there are days where I go to him like, sir, I don't think I can come. So like, no, I believe in you. You can do this and all of that. And every single time when I leave that, when we have that conversation, I leave the conversation, I'm like, yes, I can do this. If this person, I've told him several times that I don't know what you see in me, but I hope one day I can see those things. And that for me has been like a significant thing that has constantly helped me to navigate or to do the things I do as a chief of staff. So I've spoken about God. I've spoken about the fact that you need good support system. Maybe you need a mentor. Yeah, because JD is my mentor first off, before he's my boss. So you need a mentor, or God helping you, you get a good boss. If you are the leader, you need a mentor, right? And finally, I would say that you need something that I've been able to do that I'm currently still working on is emotional intelligence. You need to be emotionally intelligent, because you're not just dealing with human beings, people that have their own belief systems, people that have their own mindsets. So it's another thing when for my role, right, I have to, deliver or stand in between the organization and the people. Right, so I need to know how best I can deliver or pass the information from the executives to say, okay, this is the direction that we are going. So and there are days where in me delivering those messages, I've had issues with a few people. So like I said, this is something I'm currently working on, like emotional intelligence. You need to, I feel like that is even like the bedrock of, as an entrepreneur, as an individual working in any organization, you need to be emotionally intelligent. Because if you are not, there are things you would say, there are ways you react, and there are ways people react to you, and you're wondering that, is this about me? But whereas it's not really about you, it's about the outcome of the job. So if you're not able to separate yourself from the outcome of the job, you have problem. Right? I think I'm already talking about lessons learned. So that's like one thing that I've learned, that I need to be able to separate myself, like myself as an entity, from the outcome of this job. So if my boss is giving a feedback about this job, he's not really telling me that I'm bad, I'm not good enough. It's only saying that you can do better. This is not the best outcome. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that response. Um, I think I'll be moving on to Ola. And as get emerging technology, what I mean by that question is yesterday it was Flash, today it's PHP, tomorrow it's Vue, and then there's a lot of evolution, and much of it is really quick. So how do you, as the lead of engineering at Ennovate Lab, get on top of that and ensure you're on top of the latest technologies and you don't go obsolete, basically?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question. Interesting in the sense that uh, it's a fast-paced world. Emerging technologies, left, right, and center. So keeping tabs if this will only lead to further confusion, for you. So identify what works for the kind of solution you want to build, right? And stick with it, right? As I speak to you currently, you have a lot of top organizations and companies with legacy, technology, and they are doing fine. Although, it's quite difficult, right? Some of you may be experiencing issues with GTB and all, right? Right. So the transition to new technology has caused a lot of hiccups. Not because they failed or they didn't get it right the first time. It's just that they felt, with their growing user base and growing customers, they feel they can better serve you guys. And that must have been a tough decision, right? So it is essential for you to not be carried away by emerging technologies. They will come and they will fade, right? And another will come and supplant. So you must be able to pitch down, identify the technologies that work for the solution you're building, most efficient for it. But most times I find that most founders work with what they have, right? Not bad in itself. To be honest, the most important thing is to get your product out there. Technology does not really move the energy, push them to the back burners, right? Get started on validating your product, get started on talking to your customers, finding out what identify the key problems you're trying with time. So yeah, that will be my 2 cents, on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that response. It has been really enlightening because the field I also work in, to some degree, is really fast-paced. Cybersecurity, every 2 seconds, there's some new way to compromise systems and things. So yeah, thank you so much for that. The next question is for Abayomi. And it says, how can one effectively build a brand and pitch ideas in a compelling way?
That's interesting. This is what happens when Favor sends you the questions. I didn't look at them. so, how do you effectively
Pitch and sell your ideas like in a compelling way.
Yeah, so three things very quickly. What exactly is a brand? Yeah, that's the first thing you should ask yourself. If we did a poll, because I've done this before, if we do a poll right now, we'll ask people, what is Ennovate Lab about? Yeah, you would find that the words with which you used to describe Ennovate Lab would differ. But if you said, what is one thing that comes to mind whenever you think about Ennovate Lab? For example, how many of you would the word technology or tech come to mind for you whenever you think about Ennovate Lab? Wave of hands. The word tech will come to you. How many of you would the word community come to you? Good. How many of you would the word excellence come to you? Yeah, that's because a brand is essentially an idea. Yeah, that's essentially an idea. And a brand is an idea we have from how we design, how we speak, how we handle everything. As far people are interfacing with it, is shaping that perception, shaping that ideology in people's minds. Yeah. So first of all, that's what a brand is all about. Yeah. Now there are two things I would speak to. Number one is you want to invest a lot of time taking a look at similar brands that look like your brand. By the time you look at 10 people that look like where you are going to, what will happen is that you would have vivid ideas of what you want to be. You would have vivid ideas of how you want to communicate what you want to be. And you will have vivid ideas of what is that unique thing that I'm bringing on board. Yeah. So you want to spend time looking at other people. Yeah. And then you get ideas. A lot of ideas will come from there. And then lastly, at the end of the day, your brand boils down to not just what you say and what you put out there. It boils down to the experience people get from interfacing with your product. And I'll just give this story and I'll end. So there's Mama Mia, right? She helps us like facilitate our payments to Nigeria and all of that. And then she traveled she stays in UK. Yeah, so she traveled from UK to Nigeria. I didn't even know she was in Nigeria. And because she was having network issues, and I was like, "Oh, Mama, what happened?" She said, "I'm in Nigeria." "Where are you in Nigeria?" "I'm in Abeokuta." "Oh, did you come for a vacation?" She said, "No, I never come to Nigeria for vacation. I always come for work." And I said, "What happened?" She now said, a customer, like something happened between her and a customer, and she traveled all the way from the from the UK, and traveled to Abeokuta to go and tell the customer, "I'm sorry, but I won't be able to work with you again." And then I said, "Like, you did all of that?" And she said, "That's why they call me Mia's Extra. Like, I go the extra mile." That's one. Number two, I bought something from her while I was in Lagos, and when they delivered that stuff, yeah, the cost of delivery that they finally charged her was almost like times 5 the amount I paid for that stuff, and she paid for it. Yeah. Now, anytime I'm thinking about somebody that would deliver dependably, I would think of Mama. Not because she has like a big logo. In short, her logo is so whack. Mama, I'm sorry if you are watching this. Not because she has like a billboard, not because she runs ads, but because I've interfaced with her. I've interfaced with her services, and I know that she's someone that keeps her word and it sticks to me. So I will be looking to route business to Mama. Yeah. So to put in a nutshell, number one, remember that a brand is the idea people get. Yeah. Number two, interface with similar brands. As you study more people that have done what you've done, what you want to do, you'll get ideas of where you're going to. But number three, remember at the end of the day, it boils down to how you treat the people that you're serving. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that response. The next question is for you. And it's, how do you overcome the fear and doubt of starting a business, and how do you inspire others to see and believe in your vision? And I think that Fonto will also add a little after that, but go first. So.
Yeah, awesome. So how do you overcome the fear of starting a business, and how do you bring people to believe in the vision? Wow. All right. So just like I mentioned earlier, I said entrepreneurship is not just to make a quick money, right? If you need real money, get a job. Okay. So someone's laughing. If you need quick money, get a job. I don't know why I'm repeating this, but it's very important. So now, the fear of actually starting a business. Personally, I believe that you can do well at anything you do if you put your heart at it, okay? And working for someone, being an entrepreneur is fine, or even getting a 9-to-5 job is actually absolutely fine. Okay, you can do well for yourself. So when I left school, I graduated from Biotech. I studied engineering, as a matter of fact, agricultural engineering. And then I had a lot of stuff before me. I like, what should I do, and all of that. Okay, so, but at a point after, when I was 7, I was having this dilemma to go into hardcore engineering, design, and all of that. So, but coming back to Ogbomoso to spend a few time, and then start back at work at Ennovate Lab, and then I was working then as project manager, okay, with Ennovate Lab. So, and we have this idea we have been building already. So the thought of should I take on a role as a co-founder, or I should just say that, guys, I'm on my way to Lagos or something, because entrepreneurship can be dreadful, right? Like, we have a lot of stuff to do. So that fear was going through my mind, and then I had a few opportunities opening, like, you can come over here, submit a CV over there, and all of that. So, but the fear of, would we succeed? Is this going to make a lot of sense, and how far can we go with this product and this idea was there. So, but I remember something. One way to really overcome that fear is, I would say something to answer that, is that first of all, entrepreneurs are clearly problem solvers. Okay? So, like, people who want to make life easy or become easier for others. So if you have not bought into a problem, like, this problem is a real problem, and I feel I can solve it, it is very difficult to pursue it. So one thing that actually outweighs the fear of, would we succeed? How long would it take us to actually push this out and make it something beautiful, something that people can start to buy, and all that? How long am I able to persevere to actually push this product out to make this work? Is actually, fear will be there, but one thing that actually outweighs that fear is the desire to actually solve a problem. Okay, so, and the possibility that is standing right before you, that you know that you have a solution. Okay, so because then when we started out Great Plus Africa, we spent quite a number of months doing understanding our market, understanding the problem, understanding the users. We went into Lautech, Ogbomoso for a case study, go do one-on-one questionnaire and all of that, making research that this problem we actually we have found, does this solution meet up with it? And then, because we know that what we have works, and we've tested it with people, we feel like this thing can work. Yeah, every one of us can go our separate ways, we can do many other stuff, but this thing can work. This thing has helped this person, has helped change this person's story and all of that. So that the fact that you understand the problem, that you know it's a real problem, and you actually have a viable solution for it, and you know that it's good. So it actually helps. And the lesson, I think you asked the other, what was the last part of the, how to get people to buy. Now, this is interesting. Now, when you actually understand the problem you're solving, and you are passionate about it, one thing is that you keep talking about it. Okay, now I like my the lab team, we always like jokingly say, you are pitching again. At every point in time when we have a new or maybe team member or someone visiting, I would like, introduce yourself and what you do. I can tell you about Group of Africa in 3 sentences, or you can keep talking. So now, the passion about the problem and the depth of understanding you have about it, and the way you communicate it, actually makes people to buy into the vision, is one key actually. So if there are some people that have a very serious problem, and I'm not talking about their market, you don't know how to communicate it, you would have issues actually selling the idea. So, and if you don't see or buy into a vision, it's very difficult to actually get other people to actually buy into it. So you have to be able to really, really understand the problem, understand the solution, and know how to communicate it. So, and one of the things that also helped when we started was that we do more of actually going out to pitch our product, talk about our product, and all of that. And then because I encourage people, especially when you're in the ideation stage, one way to actually also understand more and be able to how to even sell your product more is to actually engage people about it. So find a venue to actually talk about it. If there is someone if it doesn't have to be a large crowd, it can even be someone or some people, do you know about this and all of that. Actually having to talk about the product more and more, you get confident about it, and then when you start to say it to people, they can actually buy into the vision. So that's practically actually one way I will actually mention about it.
Lovely response. Thank you so much.
Something 30 seconds to what Tolu had said.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so practical cheap. There are people who design, there are people who sell a lot of stuff, and you never talk about it on your status. Yeah, that is
Shots
one
fired.
sure formula of how not to sell. Yeah, so for example, I'm having conversation with my roommate, and I'm keeping tabs on him. He has been designing for like a year plus, but nobody knows, even his friends, because he never posts it on his status. Yeah, whenever you talk about what you do, whether you're actively selling, whether you're actively trying to sell or not, realize that you are marketing. Because how many of you have ever wanted to say, oh, I'm looking for somebody who can do this for me, and then you stand and you're wondering in your mind, who? The first 5 names that come to you are people that you've seen show up again and again and again and again and again. And if you're going to choose one out of that 5 names, it will boil down to the people who are showing up with energy. Because again, there are people that I know people that have been posting pictures of what they sell every day on that, but I'll never buy from them because there's nothing exciting about what they're saying. They don't even put the price there, they'll just post it as though they're filling space. So you have your heart, because you communicate energy. You see that. So show up every day, but when you show up with intention. Show up with intention. You have to be excited about what you're doing. Yeah. And if there's one person that I think that does this well, I don't know if she's here, is Angel. Yeah. Angel glasses. Yeah. You would just that energy would just rub off from you. And I think that is something that we will learn. And that's one practical way to think about this.
Lovely response. Ola, could you add something?
All right. Thank you so much. My colleagues, have done justice to that question, but there is an interesting bent I would want to, share with you guys, and that from keen observation. I found out that most people are too concerned about competition, that it cripples them. As a matter of fact, competitions are irrelevant. Yeah, I boldly say. Not that they don't exist, but you should treat them as non-existent. So focus on what you're doing. Focus on yourself, not trying to beat the competition. Most businesses actually suffer and die due to suicide than murder. Competition actually rarely kills you. You killed yourself, right? You killed your business because you are too concerned about, trying to do better than the competition, that you forget to focus on what you actually set out to do. Listen more to your customers, listen more to their problem and solve them. That would create sufficient value, and that's where the concept of value innovation comes in. It renders the competition irrelevant because you've created exponential value for yourself and also for your customers while driving down costs. And before you know, you begin to thrive. And if the competition are also wise enough to focus on themselves, everybody thrives in the same domain. So yeah, I just thought to add that bent. And for the second layer of the question, this counterintuitive, right? Most people buy into seemingly hard things, hard quests. When you pursue this and hard things, you find out that you would most likely get support than if you are just doing the mundane or the derivatives. Now, for me, I hear a lot of founders seeking to build the next fintech product. It's so watered down, it's so washed that it almost never elicits interest, and then you really find it hard to pick up pace. And I found out that most people who dare to do the impossible, who dare to do the hard things, usually get the support, because naturally everybody wants to pioneer new spaces and do great stuff. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents on the matter. I hope it helps. Thank you.
Fantastic response. I would want Funta to segue into that conversation and sort of put an organization bent to it, and it's around internal culture. Because it's partly the question that I initially asked Tolu around how you get people to see your vision. So how do you shape internal culture within Ennovate Lab?
That question is a very interesting question and one that I love to talk about, you know. And I think that to answer that question, right, Tolu has already given all the teas about it. Everyone who has spoken has given me all the answers about that. So, but for bringing it back home to say at Ennovate Lab, so permit me, I love my boss so much. And I love to talk about him so much. So if I'm saying that my boss is a good person, please, I'm not making mouse. I just love working with him and working at the lab. But if there's anything, so talking about that, how do you get people to buy into company culture? There's no other way than just talking about it. See, if I was to answer the question asked earlier, I would say that, how do you let people know what you love the most? How? By talking to people about it. How do you let people know what your passion is or what you enjoy doing? It's by talking about it. And that is how people get to know, oh, this person likes black. Maybe they've seen you, they've constantly seen you wear black, or everything that is related to you share black. Or you've talked about that I love black, I love black, I love black, right? So it is in seeing and it is in talking. So when you want to get people to buy into your company's vision, your goals, you have to talk to people about it. There's no buying without speaking. Yeah. Either you are selling or whatever it is that you are doing, you have to talk. So if you are the one who is reserved, I cannot talk, I'm shy. Like Tolu said, go and get a job. I don't think this is not a journey for you. So yeah, so one thing that has been done over and over again at the lab is JD talks about the culture of the organization. This is what Ennovate Lab is all about, and this is what we do at Ennovate Lab. So you see, you can come to the lab today, and that culture is still alive and relevant. And in 10 years' time, it will still be the same. Why? Because we constantly talk about this thing, right? So it's not. In fact, I was saying the other day at the office that even when JD still talks about, I've heard this over and over and over and over again. When he still talks about, the vision, the mission, the culture, the people, everything, like there's an ignition in my heart, like yes. Because sometimes if you don't constantly talk about your culture, your vision, your purpose, whatever it is you're talking to, that it is about your business, the passion or the way they bought it at the initial stage would wane over time. People will forget because our memories, like we cannot really retain everything that we've learned. Can you retain all the things that you learned from primary school? Even the things you learned, thank you, today, you cannot remember all of it. You can have a picture that, I think this is how it is. But give me word for word, you can't. If at the same sentence I just said right now, if I ask you to give me word for word, you might not be able to say that. That's because our brain we have limited capacity to retain things, except for even geniuses, right? God is the only person who can capture everything in time, right? And we are gods, but we are not God, right? So, so what I'm trying to say is that you have to find ways to constantly talk to people. Don't get tired about it that, oh, yes, I told my staff yesterday that this is what the company culture is. They should be okay for the next 1 year. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, ma. They are not okay. They will forget, they will bring their own culture, they will bring their own mindset into the business. And you even be surprised that, wait, this is not what I said to you now. So you have to constantly remind people, even yourself, you should put it down. It's not just, don't just put it in your mind. Write it down. Permit me to say the scripture. Write it down, write a vision, make it plain. So that you can see, right? He that see it can run with it. So something that you not write down, how can you retain it or remember? Even it is your vision, it is your business. But please write it down. These and these are the tenets of this organization. These are the things that we hold very dear. These are our core values. These are the things that are not, we cannot compromise on these things. And then you begin to tell people. There are times that JD will say, no, we don't use that language here at the lab. We don't use that language here at the lab. And we keep passing it on. We don't use this language. You don't use this tone. We don't say these kind of things at the lab. These words does not represent who we are. So when we have a new employee, we say that there was an intern that came in and I said, no. We don't write in such language. You can't use this. Yes, it's Gen Z. It will get people to, engage with our post, but we can't. we are not against Gen Z language. Don't misquote me. But there are certain things that we hold very dear, that are very dear to us, that are like very essential to the culture of the organization. And we are going to keep talking about it, passing it down from one generation to another generation. When that intern, let's just assume that intern becomes a team lead, she will also tell our team members that we don't do what? We don't use that language here at the lab. Thank you.
Thank you for that insight. Ola, one last question for you, and then I'll lean into Abayomi for another question, and then we'll close out. How do you pitch technical ideas in a way that resonates with people? And that's why I want Abayomi to sort of lean into that as well, because he does sales. So yes, how do you get, as a technical lead, how do you get non-technical people and technical people alike to sort of love your product? And then to Abayomi, how do you do that? And then how do you scale on the back of that?
Thank you so much for that question. I wonder what the differences are. Technical ideas, so I think I will just run that up basically to how you communicate.
Right.
Very simple. Communicate clearly. Generally, ideas need to be simple. Ideas need to be simple to spread. When you see complex ideas, they are often a result of modeled thinking and maybe making up problems where there isn't. So you need to be able to simplify it in a way that I think Richard Feynman uses or proposes a universal principle to this. If you want to test, if you truly understand what you're communicating, teach it to a 5-year-old. Right. So simplify it to such granular level that everyone who sees it, can clearly get what you're communicating. So that's on one level. I think the second layer would be your why. Why are you doing this? Right. You must be able to bring yourself into what you're trying to propose or what you're trying to pitch to investors or founders or even customers. So some months back, I was privileged to evaluate some founders by the, so there was an initiative by the Rwanda Development Board. And so it was a funding program where some individuals, like founders, would come, pitch their ideas, and then I listen in, and then I decide, which amount from the pool, goes to them. So I listened patiently, and there was a standout, individual who I was almost inclined to give the bulk of the amount because he was able to clearly communicate his why. And it was quite personal. Now, this is not made up. Stories do help, right? They appeal to the emotions in a way that, words and descriptions may not necessarily capture. So he was able to bring himself into it. I was able to see the why. And I know that, hey, if this man gets the opportunity, is really, really, really going to, go further and go far with this idea. So it's really, really important for you to have a clear why, a strong motivating factor, to really push this idea forward. And lastly, you must be able to communicate clearly who desperately needs a solution. Don't paper over the cracks. Don't make up problems where there is none. There are a lot of problems in the world that you can solve.
Our product is for everybody. Our product is for the whole world.
Our product is for everybody, right? Is a fallacy. It's untrue, right? You must be able to clearly identify those who need your products, those who need your ideas. Identify them. Even at that, you don't stop there. You keep refining it. Keep listening to them. Get hands-on, right? Watch them use it. And don't just take what they say for it. Also, what they do. It is important, right? And it really, really helps you refine your idea. It really helps you refine the communication, when you're pitching and when you're communicating, because you need to be able to communicate properly to get the funds you need, to get the customer buy-ins, to get even team members to join you and all of those good stuff. So yeah, that will be the underlying theme, and these other two things I mentioned. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. You could add a couple of things on the back of that, and then
thank you,
speak
Ola.
to
One of the
scale.
remarkable things I heard you say was ideas need to be simple for you to communicate them, for it to spread. Everybody has a story that they want to hear, and many times that story is about something that they're interested in. You have to realize this, that everybody has a story that they want to hear, and many times that story is about something that they're interested in. So if you want to reap interest, if you want to reap attention from people, what you do is to sow interest into them, to try to find out the things that matter to them and start speaking from that place. And I'll give you a practical example. So there's a service we've been trying to help a client secure calls, secure meetings. And then we have like a long list of phone numbers in the UK that would call and try to like talk to them about the service and all of that. And after like 2 weeks, we haven't been able to successfully secure a call, and then in short, as soon as you call the people, as soon as I say, oh, my name is XYZ from so and so, they're like, cut, next, and we've done like 100 calls, and we've not been able to like secure one call. And then I had to sit down with my colleague today and say, I don't think we're doing it correctly, so step one, let's invest time to go and find out about these people. So when we called this time, we're not trying to say, oh, my name is XYZ from so and so and so. We're trying to talk to them about, hey, I found you out and I was trying to do this. I noticed this about you. I noticed this about you. How can I do this? And then they were giving us more airtime. You see that? Just because we weren't trying to talk about what we wanted, we're trying to talk about the things that were important to them. So you have to realize that there would always be that law of sowing and harvest. Everybody has a story they want to hear. You want to focus, you want to sow and invest your genuine interest into them. Take the time to find out what is important for them and start with it. And once you do that, you discover that you have compelled people's attention. So that's one principle. Lastly, please, I'd just like to touch base on, don't worry, I'll do it in 60 seconds. Something that Funto spoke about, how we shape internal culture at Ennovate Lab. And she spoke about that you have to tell it, again and again. And in addition to telling it again and again, you have to show it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And I'll give you a practical example. I've heard people say that, oh, you can't spend normal business practice, not more than 30% of your revenue, of your profits can go to settling salaries, operations, and all of the yada. For example, at Ennovate Lab, it is seen consistently that the leader is willing to lay down his life for others. Like you see it consistently, again and again and again. For example, Uncle JD will not get paid until every single person get paid. For example, the team leads will not get paid until our newest interns that just resumed yesterday gets paid. The seeing that we would sacrifice for all of us to win, it changes the game, because sacrifice always compels a response. That is why blood money works, because sacrifice would always compel a response. Sacrifice would always compel a response. It doesn't matter how much you talk about how the things that you are doing matters to you. Once the rubber hits the road and the people see that you get to certain junctions and they do not see that you are willing to sacrifice for them and you are willing to sacrifice for the vision, then everything is just entering here and leaving it. And it is something you have to keep doing, because sacrifice would always compel a response. And then lastly, there is such a thing as the gift of men. There is such a thing as God apportioning certain men to work with you to achieve certain specific kind of goals. And it is worth praying about. It is worth fasting about. It is worth going all the way to allow God bless. Because see, money is not enough compelling power to compel people to lay their life down and follow you into hell and out of that. Yeah, with these few points of mine.
Thank you so much. Lastly, I think Fonto might want to add a little something as the cherry on top.
More than ever before, I now believe that there's one spirit working at the lab. Because I just remember why they were answering that question. I remember that there are like important things that, much more than speaking, that I didn't remember to share when I was answering that question. And one of it is what he has answered, the first thing he mentioned, right, about the fact that you have to leave it out first. Because to get people to follow you, you have to show it, you have to lead, right? You have to like leave it out so that people can see that, oh, if this person can do it, then I can do it. But then the second thing I was also going to add to it is that you need to tell the people the why of that culture. Like, let them know, okay, why are we doing this? Why is it that, I'm a team lead. Why do I have to be the last person to get paid? He has answered, I sacrifice, we win. Like, that's something that we hold very dear at the lab. I sacrifice, we win. So it's not just about, the idea of business is that the boss, you are the most paid, and you are the first person to get paid. But that is not how it works at the lab. So there's this ideology that we have that I sacrifice, we win. So you have to, like I said, Jade has to like tell that story, tell us again and again. So you have to tell the people the why. And it is that way that you have to keep telling them, okay, this is why we do this. It's not just because, but it is because of this or that reason. But at the same time, and I think, in addition to telling the people the why, you also have to like we've already spoken about how you can, get them to buy in. Then this is like the why. You also have to tell them like what is the ethos of this thing that we are doing. What is the bedrock? What is the foundation? So if anybody knows about Ennovate Lab, you know that Ennovate Lab is all about, redemptive business and all of that. So most of the tenets of Ennovate Lab is embedded in the scriptures. Like, we have scriptural principles to back all of this thing up, right? To say, okay, this is why we are doing this thing. And it's not just because, I read it from one business book or something like that. That is because this is the ordinance of God, how businesses should be done, right? So, and like, that is like one important key thing that we do at the lab to say, okay, this is why, show us the why and where this thing is from. What is the foundational principle for this thing? And there's something I did used to say, the principle of first mention. Like the principle of first mention. Okay, where is this place first mentioned? What is the basis of work? Work is not as a result of the fall of man. Work is part of what man is supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's not.
Preach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the panelists. Thank you, Abayomi. Thank you, Tolu. Thank you, Ola. And thank you, Fonto. Give them a massive round of applause. Thank you so much. Can we make welcome on this auspicious evening with a standing ovation and a massive round of applause, the CEO and co-founder of Ennovate Lab, JD. Please make him welcome. Thank you. Keep clapping till he is seated. Lovely. We can have our seat. Good evening, sir.
How are you, Isaac?
I'm good. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay.
Are you all doing fine too? Good.
Okay, that's great. So several questions have been extracted from the audience, and they've sort of been streamlined into these questions that I'll be asking. So the first I'll be asking is, how do you overcome the fear and doubt of starting a business in a competitive industry? and how do you make others see and believe in your vision?
Yeah, I think Ola already, responded to that, and I mean, my leaders did a very great job. They basically responded to most of what's in that question. You don't start out life seeing competition. Um, I don't believe in competition, right? I feel like you have power when you decide the definitions you want to live by, and competition is not a definition I want to live by. So what that means is that I might not be able to really answer that question for those who live by the definition of competition, right? But I could say one or two things in relation to that. Like Ola said, you get your eyes on something else that is not what should matter to you, because you're basically thinking, oh, there is this other store in town, or there is this other company in town, there's other restaurant in town and stuff, right? So you're not thinking deep enough to build out your uniqueness. So you're looking at the competition and you are reacting to what the competition is doing. And the moment you are a reactionary person, you are at the mercy of the person you are reacting to.
Right.
So it means that the competition can throw out a decoy and make you go on a wild goose chase, right? To the detriment of what you're trying to do. And then they keep on doing what they're doing, right? So, yeah. So first, I don't think, the idea of competition is the first thing. But you should know what people in the space you're trying to build in, what they are doing. So I think in ecosystems, not empires, right? And in Yaboyeji are greater than empires, right? So, and I mean, I found that as language that really strengthened what my way of thinking has been. I would rather give opportunity to a company doing something similar to what I'm doing, right, than all the information. And I think that's one of the things that has made many businesses in Obomosho feel like we are partners to them, right? And we are not a threat, because I see this opportunity, I share with them, I say, hey, I think this thing fits you. I think you might want to know about